Chapter 529 Dad, hug me. Even with Juzi's current strength, which wasn't more than a soul sage, she could temporarily possess a title Douluo's defensive capability and mobility for a short period of time using this set of armor. But Juzi was just sitting there holding a few sets of tiny clothes in her hands. She touched her cheek to the fabric and gently rubbed the clothes against her cheeks as transparent teardrops splattered down. Her eyes were full of despondence and helplessness. Even though she was an empress, she could clearly feel in this moment that there was nobody in the world who could help her. Yanin, are you all right? Have those people hurt you? My son, where are you? No matter how tough a woman could be, she would still become incredibly weak and fragile when her child was involved. Shu Tianran was unwilling to compromise for her, and there was no arguing the matter. Even though Juzi had an extremely exalted status within the Sun Moon Empire's army, she still couldn't go against Shu Tianran, who was the true ruler. She wouldn't get her son back if Shu Tianran wasn't willing to compromise, and she knew that Shu Tianran would make the same decision even if he had been the father of her child, though he might hesitate for a little longer. Shu Tianran, what an evil king. If my son dies, then one day, I will destroy you. Juzi bit down on her lower lip as her body quivered incessantly. Her tears had already moistened the tiny clothes in her hands. The war was about to start, and she was waiting for the army to gather. She hated Shu Tianran, and she hated those who had kidnapped her child even more. She wanted to go crazy, and she wanted to tell those who had kidnapped her son through war that she would annihilate everything. Yes, a woman who had lost her child was absolutely one of the most frightening living beings on earth. There was no exception. Where are you, Yanin? Do you know how much I miss you? Yanin, my son, I will save you even if there's but the slightest chance. I will save you even if I can no longer be empress, and I can no longer have my revenge. You are my life. Tears flowed from her cheeks like a waterfall, and Juzi could no longer control herself. Are you really going to give up on your revenge? A gentle voice travelled into Juzi's ears. Juzi trembled as she jumped up from her bed. This was her bedroom, the Empress bedroom. There were many powerful individuals standing guard outside. Nobody could enter her bedroom without being discovered unless it was Shu Tianran himself. But this voice is just so crisp and bright, and it's familiar. Juzi's originally blurry and teary eyes immediately became sharp, and she placed her child's clothes to one side. She pressed something to her chest, and a rose helmet immediately rose from both sides of her shoulders and completely covered her within. Don't be nervous, it's me. Ask your guards outside to leave and open the door. I want to see you. That gentle voice rang out once more, and it was even more familiar this time. Juzi's eyes suddenly narrowed. She could tell who was here, and an incredulous look appeared in her teary eyes. She was like a statue as she remained fixated to the spot. She only reacted after several full seconds had gone by. She covered her mouth so she could force herself not to scream out loud, and patted her chest with her other hand continuously so she could calm herself down. She had no idea why he would appear inside the Sun Moon Empire's royal palace at a time like this, but his appearance was like a lifeline to her, in all her helplessness, grief, and agonizing. She felt like someone who had been drowning who had just grabbed onto a floating piece of wood. She forced down her emotions after a few moments as she walked to the gate and opened it before she lowered her voice and said, "Leave, all of you. I want to be alone for a while. If I even hear anyone's breathing, I will hang you." Her 4 servant girls, who were already quiet and shivering with fear, hurriedly took their leave. They were very aware that the Empress mood hadn't been good for the past few days, and nobody dared to infuriate the goddess of war at a time like this. Juzi pushed the gate open and stood at its entrance. She still wore a grievous expression on her face with traces of tears down her cheeks. She didn't know how long she had to keep the door open for him to come in, but she couldn't possibly ask all her secret guardians to leave. That would be too obvious. All right, you can close the door. That familiar voice rang out once more. Juzi shut the door and walked back into her bedroom. 2 silhouettes that flowed like water appeared out of thin air. It's him. It really is him. The tears that she had just held back flowed out uncontrollably once more when she saw who had come to see her, but she didn't leap over in the end, because there was a figure next to him who she was familiar with, and full of jealousy. It's really you, Yuao. Why have you come, Mama? A small arm that was like a tiny white lotus reached out from within Huo Yuao's arms following her greeting. Juzi's voice rose. She stared at Huo Yuao in disbelief, and then into his arms, and she became like a gust of wind as she dashed over and took the child from Huo Yuao's hands and into her own tight embrace. Juzi began to bawl uncontrollably. The corner of Huo Yuao's mouth curved into a faint smile as he watched mother and son, reunited. His smile was filled with satisfaction, and no matter what he had given and the decisions he had made for this, he believed that everything was worth it. Huo Yuao had lost his mother when he was just a child, and he knew how painful it was for a child to lose his or her mother. He watched as little Yanin and Juzi were reunited with each other. He watched as this mother held her son so tightly in her arms. Huo Yuao's heart was content, and he could almost see himself in his mother's embrace when he was a little child. Tears continued flowing down Juzi's cheeks as she hugged little Yanin. The past 2 days were almost like 2 centuries for her, and not in her wildest dreams did she expect him to send her child back to her, but in this moment, her precious son who she loved so much was the only person in her heart, and in her eyes. Huo Yuao wasn't worried at all, and he was just standing there quietly with Tang Wutong next to him. Tang Wutong went up to his ear and whispered, "I'll go outside. You should speak to her." She released Huo Yuao's hand as she spoke and stepped out by herself. She had grown up and matured since she had regained her memory, and she knew when to let go of her man. It was like flying a kite, no matter how far the kite flew. What was there to be afraid of as long as the string was still in her hands? Juzi cried with little Yanin in her arms for a long time. The little fellow was very well behaved, and continuously wiped his mother's tears as he stared at his mother with large, confused eyes. Something that he said finally stopped Juzi's tears. "Daddy, did you bully Mummy?" Juzi was stunned, and her tears stopped just like that. Huo Yuao said a little awkwardly, "I don't know why he keeps calling me that. Perhaps fate has brought me together with this little fellow." Juzi muttered blankly, "Fate. It truly is fate." Huo Yuao coughed and said, "I sent your child back to you. I think you can guess what happened, and I have to leave as soon as possible. But you have to fabricate a story about how the child has returned so that you won't bring trouble upon yourself." He turned and walked out as he spoke. Even though he knew he shouldn't be doing that, watching Juzi crying agonizingly with her child in her arms reminded him of the child's father, the Sun Moon Empire's emperor, Shu Tianran. He didn't know Wang Dong was Wang Donga when he first met Juzi. She could be said to be the first girl to have entered his heart, but Juzi couldn't let go of the resentment and hatred in her heart, so they lost their chance to get together. Juzi chose Shu Tianran, but just as Huo Yuao had left a deep imprint in her heart, Juzi had also left her mark on him. Wait, Juzi stopped Huo Yuao. Huo Yuao paused in his tracks. Juzi stared at him, and her lips trembled as she asked, "Why?" Huo Yuao heaved a sigh and said, "This child shouldn't be harmed by the war. I lost my mother, and I know how painful it is. In the beginning, I didn't know that this mission's target was actually your son. I would have stopped them from the start if I did. I have returned your child, so you must take care of him in the future." Juzi bit down on her rosy lips as she stared at him with a complicated look in her eyes. "What are you asking for in return?" Huo Yuao smiled as he shook his head and said, "If I make any requests of you, then what difference is there between those who kidnapped your son and me?" Juzi's eyes became a little dazed. "But did you not see the thousands and thousands of soldiers gathered outside Radiant City?" Huo Yuao's eyes suddenly became sharp. "Perhaps we can only be enemies in this lifetime. But even if we are to be enemies, I can only meet you face to face on the battlefield. I will not use your child to threaten you." Juzi lowered her head. "You'll be in quite some trouble for bringing the child back, right?" Huo Yuao shook his head and answered, "I will deal with it. You don't have to worry." Juzi took a deep breath and raised her head bravely as she stared into his eyes. "If I had agreed to leave with you back then instead of staying behind to chase after Shu Tianran, you would have chosen me and not her, right?" Her was naturally referring to Tang Wutong, who was outside. Huo Yuao turned his head and looked out. He had no intention of hiding anything from Tang Wutong, so he didn't want to cut his voice off from the outside. "I don't know. I didn't know she was a girl back then. Perhaps." Huo Yuao had just said those words when Juzi dashed over with little Yanin in her arms and fell into his arms. She hugged her child with one hand and wrapped the other tightly around him, and her tears began to flow uncontrollably once more. Huo Yuao was momentarily stunned, but he didn't have the heart to push her away in the end. Juzi mumbled, "I regret it. Yes, I regret it. Only in that moment when I lost my child did I realize that revenge isn't the first priority in my heart. When a person truly falls in love with another, that person can forget about his or her revenge. If I could make that choice again, I would have made a different one. I'm sorry, Yuao. It's my fault." Huo Yuao was stunned. His heart ached agonizingly as he listened to Juzi's words, but they both knew that there was nothing in the world that could reverse their regrets. Huo Yuao patted Juzi's back gently before he struggled out from her embrace. He heaved a faint sigh, but said nothing more as he turned to walk out. He had already decided, but he was also looking back because of Juzi's words. Her words made him feel a little uncomfortable, but, "Daddy, hug." That babyish call stopped him once more. Huo Yuao turned around and glanced warmly at little Yanan in Juzi's arms. Be good, Yanan. You have to listen to your mother. Little Yanan opened his arms. Daddy, hug. Juzi's voice was trembling. You should hug him one more time. Huo Yuao hesitated, but finally walked back in front of Juzi and took little Yanan into his arms. For some reason, this little baby's cries seemed to touch something in his heart. Huo Yuao hugged little Yanan, and the baby naturally planted his tender cheeks on Huo Yuao's shoulder. That appearance was exceptionally cute. Huo Yuao patted his back softly, and his eyes became increasingly warm and gentle. Juzi began to cry even more uncontrollably when she saw that. She truly hoped that time would just freeze in this moment, that this moment would never change. But the child was finally returned to her arms, and she didn't even know how Huo Yuao and Tang Wutong left. Little Yanan fell asleep in her arms. He was sleeping very soundly. This little fellow had always been very adaptable. Juzi's lips trembled as she repeated the same sentence to herself. He is actually Huo Yuao and Tang Wutong snuck out of the Sun Moon Empire's royal place. If Shu Tianran found out that somebody could enter and exit his royal palace at a whim like this place was uninhabited, who knew what he would think? Of course, that was also because Huo Yuao and Tang Wutong came in just for a spin, and they weren't executing any actual plans. Certain especially sensitive and powerful soul masters could discover them as soon as they could sense hostility and murderousness. Huo Yuao and Tang Wutong maintained their cool from the beginning to the end, and that was one of the most important reasons why they could enter and leave so peacefully. I didn't expect you to like that child so much. Tang Wutong whispered softly. Huo Yuao turned around as he gently caressed her long hair. You're jealous. Tang Wutong shook her head and said, No, I'm not. Since she's missed her chance, then that chance will not come back again, not unless time begins to flow backwards. Otherwise, you can only be mine. Huo Yuao laughed. Even though Tang Wutong said she wasn't jealous, was she really not? Tang Wutong's next statement expressed her mentality. I will definitely bear a son for us in the future, Tang Wutong said resolutely. Huo Yuao chuckled. That needs to happen, but I will love our child all the same whether we have a son or a daughter, and I will love them like I love you. Tang Wutong pouted obstinately. You have to love me the most. Huo Yuao guffawed. Why are you competing with our child? They left Radiant City and flew into the air once more. They went back and forth between Radiant City and the Ningdo mountain range within 2 days. Only they could bear such a burden with their class 9 flying type soul tools. Tang Wutong's face gradually became solemn as they raced through the sky. Yuao, how do we account for this matter when we return? I think they might complain to the academy. If they accuse you of collaborating with the enemy. Huo Yuao shook his head. They won't. They're not so foolish. I was using spiritual detection over the main peak when we left, and I stopped only when we left its range. They had no intention to chase us, and this means we won't run into much trouble. These titled Douluo all have their own statuses and identities. Do you think they were very willing to capture little Yanan? The truth is, no one there felt comfortable in their hearts, including the White Tiger Duke. What we have done simply helped them make that decision. Besides, what good will accusing me of treason to the academy be for them? We have already displayed sufficient strength. Furthermore, the academy has always protected their incumbents, and the titled Douluo know that too. The war is about to start up again, while the Douluo continent's 3 native empires are hoping that will help them fight against the Sun Moon Empire. If I were them, pretending this matter never happened is the best outcome. Tang Wutong stared at Huo Yuao with slightly dazed eyes. You have already thought about all this long ago? Huo Yuao shook his head. No, but I can still make a rough judgment. Face and dignity is very important for titled Douluo. Furthermore, the strength that we have displayed is sufficient for them to pay attention to us. They will need reconnaissance skills like mine in the war to come. I think the Doling Empire and the Heavenly Soul Empire's titled Douluo have already left. So let's go back to the Ningdo mountain range for a bit, and we can prove our hypothesis. We can also pass on the news that the Sun Moon Empire has gathered its armies, and consider that making up for our transgressions. Tang Wutong heaved a sigh. Won't they think that the Sun Moon Empire is gathering their armies because we have returned the Crown Prince? Huo Yuao chuckled and said, Do girls become stupid when they get jealous? Silly girl, why do you ask such silly questions? First, the White Tiger Duke cannot make an erroneous judgment like that with his intelligence. How can the Douluo continent's 3 native empires not know that Shu Tianran was making sacrifices so that he could restart the invasion? Their attempt to assassinate Shu Tianran was meant to stop this invasion from happening. Tang Wutong hit him gently and said, You're the one who has become stupid. It was dusk when they returned to the Ningdo mountain range. They had traveled several thousand kilometers back and forth over 2 days, and they also had to avoid the aerial surveillance soul tools in their way. They were even engaged in battle. Both Huo Yuao and Tang Wutong were extremely spent, despite their cultivation ranks. They landed outside the White Tiger Duke's tent. Huo Yuao used spiritual detection and quickly found the Duke, who was still dealing with military matters. To be safe, Huo Yuao didn't go to see the White Tiger Duke directly. He used his concrete material spiritual power to conjure a projection to enter the White Tiger Duke's tent. The White Tiger Duke was still dealing with military matters that were coming in from everywhere. He had assumed control over the entire western and northwestern field armies, and could be called the #1 man in the Dalu Empire's military. He had status, reputation, and was widely respected. While he controlled more than half of the Dalu Empire's armies, he was probably the most powerful man beneath the emperor. The White Tiger Duke seemed to feel something as he suddenly raised his head. He saw a shadow appear not too far from him, though it didn't make any sound at all. The White Tiger Duke was startled, but he was commander of the 3 armies, and his heart and mind were very calm. He identified the visitor after his initial astonishment, and heaved a sigh of relief. Yuao? Lord Duke, Huo Yuao bowed slightly. The White Tiger Duke's expression immediately turned black. You dared come back. Are you aware that what you have done means a dozen titled Douluo have achieved nothing in their mission? Huo Yuao said plainly, I am simply doing what I think is right. Duke, did you not think that there was something wrong with the plan? I will tell you the same thing. Kidnapping the Crown Prince doesn't achieve anything unless Shu Tianran is also dead. I have also proven this point when I was back in Radiant City before this. The Sun Moon Empire has already begun mustering their armies, and they will probably invade very soon. The White Tiger Duke was momentarily stunned. You returned him. Huo Yuao nodded. The White Tiger Duke sighed and said, So be it. At least I'll feel a little better. The Heavenly Sun Douluo has said that this will be the end of this matter, and we shall pretend that this mission never happened. Therefore, you don't have to worry about anything. Huo Yuao smiled faintly and answered, I wasn't worried about much in the first place, but I still have to thank you, and the Heavenly Sun Douluo. The White Tiger Duke said, You can say that to him yourself when you see him again. Huo Yuao continued, The Sun Moon Empire's armies have already been assembled. I'm afraid they will launch an all-out invasion in half a month to a month. I don't know if their target is the Heavenly Soul Empire, or if they're going for the Daluo Empire. Therefore, you have to be more careful. The White Tiger Duke frowned and said, The Heavenly Soul Empire is on the brink of annihilation, but the truth is, the Daluo Empire is also faced with a great impending calamity. The Sun Moon Empire's invasion means the Heavenly Soul Empire is in danger, but we aren't that much better. Huo Yuao fell silent. He knew what the White Tiger Duke was talking about. The Heavenly Soul Empire's situation was the worst for the moment, as 2/3 of their territory had been conquered. The Daluo Empire seemed prepared, and their armies seemed ready. They had 100,000 soldiers along the border, and they even had a natural stronghold like the Ningdo mountain range to fortify. But was all that really the truth? The Sun Moon Empire had conquered much of the Heavenly Soul Empire's territory, and part of that territory was where the Heavenly Soul Empire had bordered the Daluo Empire. Even though it was a hilly area, the ground was a lot flatter there compared to the Ningdo mountain range. If the Sun Moon Empire wanted to attack the Daluo Empire, they would naturally launch an invasion from that side. The Sun Moon Empire could attack both the Heavenly Soul Empire and the Daluo Empire, and both parties would find it incredibly difficult to defend themselves even if they gave everything they had, no matter which side the Sun Moon Empire chose to attack first. That was the reason why the White Tiger Duke had a headache. He couldn't possibly relinquish their defensive perimeter along the Ningdo mountain range. Otherwise, if the Sun Moon Empire conquered the Ningdo mountain range once more, the Daluo Empire would be pushed into an even more backward position, but they could not defend their northern front. Such a long battlefield was extremely unfavorable for the Daluo Empire. The Doling Empire behind them had it a lot better in comparison. They had the Heavenly Soul Empire in front of them for defense, after all. Furthermore, once the Sun Moon Empire had completely overrun the Heavenly Soul Empire, they would undoubtedly have to face Shrek City. Shrek City's strength was an important form of invisible protection for the Doling Empire. That was also one of the most important reasons why the Heavenly Sun Douluo decided to relent, because he didn't want to offend Shrek Academy. Huo Yuao began to contemplate. Duke, can we come in? The White Tiger Duke was shocked by his question. The tent's curtains were lifted in the next moment. The soldiers outside didn't realize at all as 2 figures materialized right in front of him. There was only one Huo Yuao in the tent, but now there were 2. too. The White Tiger Duke glanced at the one on the right, and then the one on the left. He heaved a sigh of admiration. That is so amazing. Yuao, did you know we were all full of admiration for the strength you displayed when you broke out? Seems like you're all grown up now. Huo Yuao said plainly. Duke, now is not the time to compliment me. You should think about what you should do. I can report back to the academy once you make a decision so that we can do our best to cooperate with your plans. The White Tiger Duke forced a laugh and said, I wouldn't be so anxious and worried if there was a good solution. You are very aware of the Sun Moon Empire's fighting strength at the front, and ambushing them with sudden attacks is also very difficult. They are too flexible and mobile, and they can move around very quickly with their soul tools, especially those formidable soul engineer legions of theirs. I want to hear your advice. Huo Yuao said, the Sun Moon Empire is ultimately facing the continent's three empires all by themselves. Their military deployment covers a much larger territory after conquering the Heavenly Soul Empire. Our battlefront is long, but in truth, the Sun Moon Empire faces the same situation. The only difference is that their military strength is concentrated along the nation's borders as much as possible, and they are having a comparatively easier time because they have powerful soul tools. This also means that their inner regions are extremely empty. The White Tiger Duke said, everyone knows that, but it's no use even if we know that they have this weakness. The Sun Moon Empire have deployed many surveillance soul tools along their borders. We cannot possibly go undiscovered if we mobilize our armies for an attack. They still have many soul tool forts along their borders, and any front can impede us for a period of time sufficient for them to send reinforcements. Huo Yuao continued, if we wish to defeat the Sun Moon Empire and achieve victory in this war, then we have to hold back their main forces effectively while gradually weakening them. This is the only way to put them up to their ears in work, and the only way we can execute a war of attrition against them. Just like when you sent large masses of soul masters into the Sun Moon Empire's territory to conduct guerrilla warfare back then. The White Tiger Duke shook his head. That move is not effective anymore. The Sun Moon Empire have increased their production of aerial surveillance soul tools over the past 2 years, and they have too many eyes in the sky. Our men will be going to their deaths if they attempt to infiltrate again, and we have already tried it. It wasn't effective, and we lost many men. Unless we have extraordinarily talented individuals like you who also possess formidable concealment abilities, nobody can possibly infiltrate the Sun Moon Empire's territory. Huo Yuao's eyes sparkled when he heard the White Tiger Duke's words. He suddenly clapped his hands and said excitedly, I have an idea. I have an idea. The White Tiger Duke was momentarily stunned. Huo Yuao took a few quick steps forward and came beside the Duke. He could naturally feel the White Tiger Duke's aura when he came near, and he couldn't help but think about the scene when he carried him high into the sky. But his emotions rippled for but a moment before he immediately returned to normal. He whispered something beside the White Tiger Duke's ears. The White Tiger Duke's pupils contracted as he listened, and he snapped his head around. Really? Can we really do that? Huo Yuao nodded forcefully and said, theoretically, we can. The Sun Moon Empire will mobilize all their forces when they restart the war. If we don't take drastic measures, we have no chance of defeating their formidable soul engineer legions on the battlefield. We can only threaten them at their very core to have a chance of emerging victorious. The White Tiger Duke was extremely intelligent, and he immediately understood what he had to do when he heard Huo Yuao's words. All right. Don't worry, Yuao, you can leave the front lines to me. We will use our lives to prolong the battle even if we can't win so that we can keep them on the battlefield. I will immediately communicate with the Heavenly Soul Empire and the Douluo Empire. The three empires will use our combined strength to hold back the Sun Moon Empire's main forces so that we can buy time for you and the academy. But you have to be quick, because I don't know how long we can hold out. All right, agreed. We're very tired, and we wish to rest here for the night over here. We will hurry back tomorrow morning. The White Tiger Duke got to his feet. He became a little excited after listening to Huo Yuao's plan. He clapped Huo Yuao's shoulder heavily and said, excellent, Yuao. If we can execute your plan successfully, I believe the body Douluo's spirit in heaven will definitely bless you with good fortune. Huo Yuao seemed a little disoriented when the White Tiger Duke patted him on the shoulder with his large hand. He didn't recover completely even after he returned to the tent that he and Tang Wutong were staying in. What's wrong, Yuao? Tang Wutong asked concernedly. Huo Yuao shook his head. Tang Wutong asked, is it because of the White Tiger Duke? Huo Yuao nodded as he forced a laugh and said, for some reason, I feel less and less hostility towards him. Tang Wutong smiled faintly and said, that's a good thing. Just like Juzi said, revenge cannot block out love and kinship. You don't have to think too much. You should pay attention to what's at hand, and you can think about this again after dealing with the Sun Moon Empire. It's not too late to contemplate your relationship with him after beating the Sun Moon Empire back. Furthermore, your mother would be very happy that you're cooperating with the Duke like this if she had been alive. Huo Yuao's expression became a little dejected when she talked about his mother. Will mother really be happy? I only had one goal when I entered Shrek Academy back then, and that was to take revenge for my mother. But now, I am getting farther and farther away from claiming my revenge. Soft knocking sounds suddenly came from outside. Huo Yuao swept the area with his spiritual power, and knew who was here. Come in, Luolai. Dalu pushed the door open and stepped in. His eyes glowed when he saw Tang Wutong. Even though this wasn't his first time seeing her, this was still the first time that the brothers were interacting alone with Tang Wutong around. Dalu took a few steps forward and said softly, are you alright, brother? I've heard that you conflicted with some title Douluo. Tang Wutong was astonished when she heard the way that he addressed Huo Yuao. She glanced at Dalu and then at Huo Yuao. Huo Yuao hurriedly explained to her, Luolai is the only one who knows my true identity. Luolai, this is your sister-in-law, Tang Wutong. Greetings, sister-in-law. Dalu hurriedly greeted Tang Wutong respectfully. Even though he hadn't heard much about Huo Yuao over the past 2 years, and they hadn't met, none of that affected his admiration for his older brother. Dalu had heard much from Dai Yuheng and his father about his older brother's legendary stories. Huo Yuao represented Shrek Academy's elite youths, and he had invented spirits. He was the Spirit Pagoda's honoring master. He had an ultimate martial soul, and he led Shrek Academy's team to achieve glorious results twice in the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy dueling tournament. He was a legendary figure among the younger generation of soul masters, and possibly even across the entire world of soul masters. Furthermore, Huo Yuao had helped the Daluo Empire's Western Field Army turn the tide of battle on several occasions. Dalu had witnessed those episodes personally. In his mind, his elder brother was his idol. Dalu had been standing guard when Huo Yuao returned. Huo Yuao didn't hide his presence when he came out from the White Tiger Duke's tent, and Dalu immediately came to find him after changing guards. He was afraid that his elder brother would be gone once more if he didn't go find him, and he didn't know when they would meet again. 2 years had passed since the last time they separated. Tang Wutong smiled and nodded in Dai Luolai's direction. She was happy for Huo Yuao, happy that he had at least recognized a relative. Why are you here, Luolai? Huo Yuao asked. Dai Luolai said, nothing much, except we haven't seen each other for so long I have missed you. Oh, brother, can you get me a spirit sometime? Huo Yuao grinned and said, you're still a sulking. It's a little too early for a spirit. I will definitely find a suitable spirit for you when you reach rank 70. It was easy for Huo Yuao to identify Dai Luolai's cultivation rank with his strength. Dai Luolai had been growing very quickly over the past 2 years, and he should be around rank 55 right now. His cultivation speed was considerably impressive for his age, and it was evident that his potential and talent had been completely activated whether or not his martial soul had truly awakened and mutated. Huo Yuao would have recommended him to Shrek Academy to study if matters at the front lines hadn't been so pressing. Furthermore, the atmosphere at the front was very suitable for him to cultivate. Dai Luolai's martial soul became a blood tiger after mutating, and it was most suitable for fighting on the battlefield. Dai Luolai would improve quickest through continuous battle and training. Dai Luolai was extremely excited when he heard Huo Yuao's words. Don't worry, brother, I will definitely work hard to cultivate. Huo Yuao inquired about his current cultivation situation and gave him some pointers. Dai Luolai could tell that it was getting late, and only then did he take his leave. I'll be going then, brother. Thanks so much for watching this video.